Hi everyone, my name is Holly, and in today's video I am here to talk to you about all of the great books I have found at Dollar Tree. Now, are they really rare? Maybe. I am very lucky enough to have a Walmart right next to my Dollar Tree, and whenever a shipment comes into Walmart, whatever damaged goods that they have, say like a book that has a scratch on it, a dent, or even a ripped page, they get stocked at my Dollar Tree. No idea if that's common, and whoever came up with this madness deserves a raise. Because I have some really awesome books in this stack, let me tell you. I don't go in there often because I tend to buy stuff that I really don't need, like food, or candy, or some colorful flashlight in the shape of a freaking camel. Yes, I need. So I have 9 books in this stack, which is worth $9. What a steal. Ooh, I'm so hyped for this first one. Okay, so the very first book I have here is A World Without Heroes by Brandon Mole. You can't tell me that this isn't an awesome book to have found at a freaking dollar store. This is a very highly acclaimed author who is mostly known for his Fablehaven series, and this one in particular is the first book in a YA / middle grade fantasy. In this story in particular, we are following a 13-year-old boy named Jason who volunteers at his local zoo. So he shows up for work one day and suddenly he hears music playing from the hippo tank. While investigating this, I mean, who wouldn't be curious about music playing from this freaking hippo tank? He falls in and gets swallowed by the hippo and suddenly emerges in a new world called Delirian. There, he accidentally discovers a secret that can undo the Emperor, and then he is labeled as a criminal and is on the run. This synopsis snatched me. I mean, it's your typical rabbit hole plotline about our character emerging in a new world, but by being swallowed by a hippo. A hippo! That's the best thing I've ever read. So this is a very classic fantasy full of magic and wizards and a evil villain that wants to conquer everything, and it just sounds like a really fun read. The next book that I'm very grateful to have found for $1, Dead Sea by Brian Keene. Yes, this is a mass market paperback, which I hate, but it is a shorty, and I am a zombie lover at heart. Now, I haven't read very many books about zombies because I typically find them a bit on the cheesy side. Day by Day Armageddon is one I've enjoyed, The Reset, The Bone Houses, which is a recent one I liked, and there's another one. It's like a black cover with like a gruesome hand in the middle. I'll put a picture up because I can't remember the title. So a $1 zombie book is definitely something I will take a chance on any day. Brian Keene is actually known for his zombie books, and apparently all of his books cross-reference one another, kind of like Stephen King, which is really cool. This one is written from the perspective of a homosexual black man who is having to survive the zombie outbreak in Baltimore. It's pretty much about fighting zombies at sea, which sounds so dope. And another unique thing about it is that no one is immune from this disease, including animals and sea life. Are we gonna get whale zombies? Because I will read it today. It sounds diverse and scary, but honestly really fun. The next book I have here is Journey's End. Now, I just recently purchased this one, and I haven't even hauled it in a video yet, but I was at Dollar Tree and I saw this cute illustrated cover, and then while I was putting it back down, I glanced at the author's name and I gasped. I'm sure the whole store was shook to their core with my audible gasp. Rachel Hawkins. I actually really enjoyed the Hex Hall series from her. It's an older YA fantasy about like a witch school, but I've always wondered how she would write a middle grade. And basically, Dollar Tree is making dreams come true. This is following a young girl named Nolly who moves to Journey's End with her dad for the summer, and while there, she makes a really good friend with Belle, who also lives on this island. And the two of them start to see very suspicious things within the fog that is coming closer to the shoreline. And this fog is supposedly magic, and if someone goes past the fog, they disappear. So what do children do these days? They become hooligans, and they decide to go into the fog. This book sounds like it's going to be really fun. It takes place in Scotland, and it's supposed to be kind of like a ghost story, so a bit on the spooky side. I'm really happy to have spotted this at Dollar Tree because, I mean, this cover is eye-catching for sure. The next book I have here is Incan Bone by another Rachel, but by Rachel Kane. I have owned this book since 2016, I think, and I was really happy to have spotted it back then because it was really popular among old booktube. It doesn't really get a whole lot of attention anymore, but I'm still very interested in it because it's all about an ancient library. Rachel Kane explores the idea, what if the Great Library of Alexandria survived? And that alone just gives me chills. This is a dystopian novel that follows a girl named Jess, and she comes from a family of smugglers, and what they do is smuggle books because in this world, owning physical books is illegal and is punishable by death. The world is run in a dictatorship type manner by the Great Library, who control the knowledge of the world. In fact, the people who work for the library would even die to protect these books from harm. I get it. I would protect the Joe Abercrombie section with my life too. I've always been told that this series is a hidden gem, and I know it's going to take my feelings and smush them like Play-Doh. In fact, I'm even more inclined now to pick it up since I've been talking about it. I'm just gonna set this one aside. The next book I have here is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter by Seth Grahame-Smith. I'm pretty sure the reason why this was at my local Dollar Tree is because I got it around the time the movie came out. Hence why we do have the movie cover. This is obviously a combination of history and fantastical fiction, and I did see the movie when it came out in theaters, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm really curious about the book because it's written with clips of journal entries, so it sounds even more legit, just simply slipping in vampires within like the Civil War era history. But the monsters are supposed to be very bloodthirsty and not have any feelings whatsoever toward humans and like scary fangs and all, except for Henry, who is a major character in the story and who I really like. He basically takes Abe under his wing. I know the author does a fantastic job interweaving the stuff that we learn in our history class and adding like these twisted, messed up supernatural creatures within it. It's fun to read with just that history element, but also a bit sad. The next book I have here is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I bought this book years ago, and it's definitely part of my veteran TBR. I remember the day that I spotted this and I picked it up, and I had no idea the cult following that this book had at the time, but I remember reading the very first sentence, "Let's start with the end of the world, why don't we?" And I thought, whoa, that sounds really cool and ominous, and it's $1, so it's a steal. It's a sci-fi mix with fantasy elements, and we are following 3 women who are a part of this really unique magic system where they have the ability to manipulate the earth. Seismic activity is a constant threat to humankind, and it really shows the true meaning of survival of the fittest. The catch here is that these 3 women are actually despised by society. They are feared, and they are actually slaves to them, which is a major part of the story I have heard. Many people love this. In fact, it's a completed series, so I really need to jump on this hype train already. I'm just really bad at reading books I get at Dollar Tree for some reason. I don't know why, but I mean, this is a pretty rare one that I came across. Alrighty, I have 3 more books, and the next one I have here is The Hammer by KJ Parker. This is the oldest KJ Parker book that I own, and honestly, it has survived so many unhauls. I've tried reading 2 of his most recent books, one of them being An Orc on the Wild Side, which I actually have on my shelf here. This is his newest release, and I DNF'd it, and it's still on my shelf because I feel like maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it, so it's here to survive another day. Another one I tried was 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City, and I DNF'd that one as well, about 60 pages in. I just find his writing very dry, as well as his humor. It's like reading a book by your like 90-year-old grandpa while he's telling jokes the entire time, and it's just like, okay, boomer. This is a standalone novel that is set on an island that is populated by a farming colony, savages, and an exiled noble family. An uneasy and unspoken arrangement exists among these groups of people, which I'm guessing is going to lead to a lot of drama. I desperately want to like a book by this author, and maybe, just maybe, I will like his older stuff better. And then I have On Stranger Tides by Tim Powers. This is yet another very tiny book, but though it is tiny, it actually inspired the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's a historical fantasy that was originally written in 1988, and it follows our main character, who is a accountant and former puppeteer, and while he is sailing from England to Jamaica in search of some stolen inheritance, and while he is sailing, he is attacked by pirates and he is forced to choose either to join them or lose his life. Obviously, if you're a big fan of pirates, then this should be in your collection, especially with the iconic backdrop. Pirates, zombies, seafaring lore, and voodoo. I've also heard that this is a fantastic audiobook, so maybe if you're interested, then you can check this one out that way. Or maybe your local Dollar Tree has it. And the final book I have here is The Devourers by Indra Das. Now, I don't typically gravitate towards werewolf stories, but this cover is eye-catching as fork, and as I read more about it, apparently the werewolves part of it is just the basic entry level of the story, and it moves into something much more personal. It takes place in India, and our narrator is a professor at a university who meets a man one day who claims he is half werewolf and is part of a clan who hunt humans and steal their memories. She is then tasked by him to transcribe this document, which leads to a very unusual story. This book is supposed to be very weird, and it kind of reads like a fever dream. It's not held back by conventional storytelling, gender, or even sexuality. It's based upon Indian mythology and is a feminism story at its core. Trigger warnings, though, include large discussions of rape and also a lot of very disturbing, gory scenes. So please keep that in mind. I'm honestly really surprised this was at my Dollar Tree, but clapping to them. Alrighty, so those are all of the books I have found at my local Dollar Tree. Tell me down below if you have found some really good books at yours, because I would love to know. It's honestly a really surprise to go in there in the book section and find a recent release or something. It's such an amazing feeling because you know it's $1. Go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, because that helps me out so much, and go ahead and subscribe. I upload videos every single week. Follow me on Twitter at Holly Niece and on Instagram at Holly Hearts Books, and until we meet again, happy reading.